What's up, everybody? You are tuning in Crypto Street Podcast. All three of us are back rocking and rolling. So appreciate you two guys covering for me the other day. Had some holiday cheer to spread. We hope you all had a fantastic holiday. Getting ready for a New Year's Eve. Hopefully you got big plans. We're gonna rock in this closeout 2018 with a bang and rock in 19. So as always, I am Crypto Dale and joined with my two co-hosts. Prince was shaking.
Just another day. Good day, I'm okay. Bad day, I'm okay. It's just another day, you know. It's pretty good though. So
I just want to say on the record, I hate when you say just another day because
well,
everyone wants to know what's another day in Prince's world.
It's just another day. My days blur together, man. You know, when all you do is just try and surf the markets and stuff, things start to blur together. Holidays, you don't even see them coming up, and next thing you know, you haven't done any Christmas shopping, and you know how it goes. So, yeah, it's just another day, you know.
So, speaking of holidays and Prince and whatnot, I'm a huge Mighty Ducks fan. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie, but my mom got me. There's three movies, Mighty Ducks, D2 and D3, and so I got the box set for it last night or this weekend from her. Have you guys ever seen that?
Oh, grew up on that.
Okay, so I was watching the D2 last night because that's my favorite one. And every time Goldberg came on, I looked at my wife and I'm like, I guarantee that was Prince. That was Prince back in the day.
That's what growing up, like Facebook, that was always like my profile picture and all that. It was just Goldberg's like taped to the net. And just
Yeah, that's awesome. So Killer, what's good, buddy? Thanks for being on.
Oh, man. I've been having a good day. I've been watching a lot of football, trying to get in as much football as I can before the season ends. It's always incredible to me how quickly the season goes. It's like it starts and you're like, oh, now I remember how much I missed football. And then before you know it, you blink twice and the season's over. So it's good, though. I'm trying to enjoy the games. A little bit of gambling. Go Browns. Browns plus 7.5. But we'll see how that goes.
You guys are crazy. Yeah. Betting week 17 is so much like betting preseason, but
doing nothing but parlays too.
You know who bet preseason? You two. So I don't expect anything less.
It's true.
So yeah, we've got a great show lined up today. Have one of the best traders in my opinion. He is endorsed by Cobain. He is the man. He's the reason we were kind of joking before we started recording. He's the reason we're at where we're at today because of his superb call. Just kidding, obviously.
Sure.
So we're joined with Cryptopath. We're just going to refer to him as Path so we don't mumbo jumbo the whole time. So Path, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so if you were wanting, normally, you know, we always say we kind of go through the person's background, how they got in, but he was on episode 20. So if you're unfamiliar with him for some reason or want to hear about his background, jump back to episode 20. We had him on there. He kind of gives that. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about this your call, the tweet that you had to kind of jumpstart things, Path. You had kind of called the top and then what's appearing to be, we have a little bit lower to go, but what appearing to be a bottom. So, maybe let's just walk through how you got to that and, the process of what you saw and everything like that.
Yeah, so I made a trading view chart in December 1st last year. Price was about $10,000. I can link it in the chat if you want.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. The idea was I expected us to top around the time CME futures launch.
Mm-hmm.
We're making this parabolic curve, like really not a sustainable trend. So I took an overlay of when Bitcoin rallied to $266 in early 2013. I kind of just stuck that on there, and it lined up pretty well.
Very well.
Pretty well, yeah. It's like pretty much on point as it gets.
Dude, I okay, so I had looked at your profile prior to this and I saw this picture and I was like a little bit confused as to what it was. I was just kind of glancing over everything and I thought it was like a current day picture of what had already happened to give you people an idea of how close it was. Like I thought this was from a couple of weeks ago. And so yeah, that's pretty remarkable.
The curse chart. Are we gonna get a blessed chart anytime?
I already made one, yeah.
Oh,
but,
did you? Oh, perfect.
It feels a bit forced though, because everyone's telling me to make one. So
yeah.
I'm sure.
So what do you think now? Like, you kind of had that foresight back when market was in pure euphoria. Now there's a lot of people just kind of sitting in a corner crying. What are your thoughts? Like, what are your takes on, this market action? Maybe, a few months down. What are you thinking?
So I think the market's definitely a lot more liquid than it was last time around, like a few years ago. So there aren't really any, like if we do capitulate, it's not a big spike down necessarily. Like there could be a lot of buyers. It's
right.
So like if you want to catch a flash crash, it's not necessarily going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like it does happen on some smaller pairs. Like if on Coinbase they have some every now and again, like on the USDT pair for Ethereum. The other day that fell to like $1 or something stupid.
Oh yeah,
someone bidding on it, right? But yeah, like most of the larger markets, they won't have a flash crash anymore, so you don't get more than like 30% moves in a day or anything like that anymore. So you can't really use those as an indicator for a bottom.
That's an interesting thing too, because I've seen a lot of people kind of, it's like they're just expecting that we'll bottom with a flash crash kind of thing. And yeah, like you said, like liquidity is a lot different than it was back in 2014.
Yeah, I think that's an indicator a lot of people use for it, so can't necessarily use it anymore. And yeah, the volume seems to be more spread out as well. So
yeah,
same again with that.
Yeah, that's interesting because like that's when I was looking at past crashes and bubbles and popping and bottoms and everything like that, it's like that was one thing I was looking for, was that capitulation event with like a gigantic red candle, and you can finally feel like, okay, like that has to be the worst of it, right? But I hadn't even really considered the fact that, like you said, we're way more liquid. And it's sort of like a blessing and a curse thing, not to, make a pun on your chart, but like, just in terms of, there's a lot more liquidity. You're closer to getting your execution price on any given coin, but we also don't see some of those just incredible pumps where something goes up like 400% in a day, not like nearly as often.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I was expecting a possible reversal over the last few days, like forming inverse head and shoulders, but I think more likely we'll just see sideways, to be honest. It's not.
It's kind of this whole inverse head and shoulders thing. It has me a little on edge, and Nomad here in the chat said everyone is usually wrong. And this is like, that is so on point because it's true, right? And right now when I go through my feed, everybody is looking at the exact same thing. That makes me a little paranoid, right? I get a little on edge when I see that. Yeah. So, it's like, okay, well, are we actually going to get that playing out? Or is it maybe we're going to get a nice breakout, fake out, and, just suck in some more liquidity, yeah.
You think everybody's like super, like way too bullish, Prince?
Well, that's tough. Like, judging it based on Twitter to me is kind of too much of it's not a big enough crop, I guess, because the market is very big. It's a lot larger than just crypto Twitter, right? But, when I see multiple people, like just posting the exact same things, everybody is doing, in a sense, the same trade, I get a little paranoid, right? It's like, okay, well, if everyone else is seeing that and I'm seeing this, that makes me a little on edge, right?
Yeah, I think the only time one of the where everyone's posted the same chart and it's worked out is maybe when Ethereum broke up from $400 about a year ago.
Yeah.
So I saw loads and loads of people posting that. It was kind of
yeah, and it's not always, right? Yeah, just because everybody's on the same side of a trade doesn't mean it's just going to go against you every time. But yeah. I think like one example right now, I'm kind of like just looking at oil, and oil is like it's one of the highest net long situations that it's been in like fucking forever almost. And so I was like looking at that, I was like, oil's kind of getting interesting down here. And then I see this and it's like, wow, okay, like funds haven't been this exposed long to oil in like fucking decades or some shit. And it's like, okay, well maybe I just chill out for a bit. It's like,
one thing I honestly had this written down, and I know Nomad just mentioned this in the chat, but I do feel like every time we get a little bounce here, I'm seeing a lot more people saying that they're going to try and short these bounces. So that's maybe a little sign of encouragement for myself. Yeah. But I do agree with everyone's calling for that inverse head and shoulders, and I think honestly we're almost at a point where people are really just
it's just jump on a bandwagon, and if
someone makes a valid argument for something, and people are like, oh yeah, that'll work, let's do that. And I think some people maybe don't necessarily have the capability to think on their own, and not saying that, geez, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but you know what I'm getting at.
It is basis though, like crowd mentality. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change. herd mentality is going to be on crypto Twitter too, right? So you start seeing someone posting something that makes sense, it fits up, then yeah, why not? Jump on that bandwagon if you want, right? So.
I think it's a great time to give my senior quote in my yearbook. Run with the herd of independent minds. Think about that.
There you go.
It's very good.
Perfect.
I think my like high school yearbook quote was something like some like football coach. Honestly, it was a peak into degeneracy.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to give a quote, so there was that. Well, Path, I'm curious though now to kind of branch off on this topic now, and another something that I think a lot of people are aware of is the Litecoin halving that'll be happening in August. Now, if market conditions stay, relatively tough, we stay in a bear market. Do you think that the thesis behind, a halving pump will still hold true in shitty conditions like this? Say?
Well, I think whatever Litecoin does is probably what Bitcoin is going to do, like reaction-wise.
Yeah.
So if we have a trend reversal for that, then we'll probably see the same in Bitcoin later on. That's what it's the idea I had last time. Actually, I traded that. I made a trading view chart for that years ago when that happened. Actually, that was quite a good one. So that was almost 4 years ago now. But yeah, it happened in time-wise. The capitulation at the end of the bear trend was the exact same length away from the halving that we are now. So that's something to think about. So yeah, it's like a 4-year cycle, kind of matched up perfectly at this point. But yeah, I think what Litecoin does will probably be very similar to what Bitcoin does. If we don't see higher from here, then not looking good.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
so you kind of posted your chats your charts in the chats. And one thing that I see when I pull yours up, and this is kind of off the beaten path, but I want this to be known is, Path is very respected in the community as, being a solid trader. And you pull your chart up and it's just simple. There's not hard, it just looks really clean. So again, I know we've stressed this many a times, but you don't need all these indicators and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So it's just kind of refreshing to see that, Path.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of volatility in crypto. So you really don't need to, a lot of people trade day to day, right? And they want to catch volatility every day. But if you know assets are like ridiculously overvalued at one point, you don't have to try and nail it, right? You just go low leverage and just wait. If you're patient, you'll get it, right?
Yeah. And on topic of leverage, you don't really use leverage when you trade, correct?
No, I haven't for a long time. I haven't really felt the need for it, right? It feels like don't really need to invest the time in making a system around that if I'm already successful with other things. Yeah, it's not.
I think that's take notes, people. You don't need to trade on leverage if it's like there's so much volatility, you can trade spot just fine.
Killer and I are blending in the shadows right now.
Yeah, just pure leverage, 50 times or nothing. The only thing that gets me out of bed. It's Path, when did you get involved in crypto, or when did you get first start trading crypto again?
Early 2013 would have been.
Oh yeah, so for quite some time. I always I think last time we talked to you, we were still we were kind of looking bearish, but we weren't nearly as deep in the bear market as we are now. So I'm curious to know, in terms of comparing this one to the last big bubble popping, do you see similarities, differences? Are there any kind of lessons that you can take from the first one? Because I think we're all in our own path, trying to become better crypto traders, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, last time we had Mt. Gox going bankrupt, right, which was probably the biggest event that's ever happened in Bitcoin. Yeah. They lost 7% of the supply or something. Imagine Coinbase going bankrupt, right?
Oh my gosh.
Feel impossible to recover from. So there's we haven't even had that sort of event this time. I know there was a Korean exchange that got hacked, but they had NIM mostly, right? So it's not like it really affects the ecosystem that much. So there hasn't been a massive catastrophic event really, but we've still fallen quite away. I know Bitmain.
Do you think
sorry, go on.
It's okay. Do you think we need something like that to mark the true bottom, or this time's just different? We probably don't need something like that.
I think we'll probably just be waiting really until People are like over time, like all of the businesses that can't run anymore, they'll go bankrupt. So
Yeah, and we're kind of
have to
seeing
wait.
that. We're starting to see some issues with the beloved Bitmain.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. So yeah,
now there's rumors now that Jihan and company are stepping down, although, going to tread lightly with that because to me it seems like it's an unconfirmed thing right now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of whispers, but yeah, that's pretty huge. Like, if it's legit, that's huge. Like, that's wow. Okay.
It's kind of incredible how they've gone from such a big company to losing almost everything. Like in 2015, they pretty much became a monopoly, right? They had so much
Yeah.
hash rate and they were making all the miners. All of their competition like ran out of money, or they were scams like Butterfly Labs, if you guys know them.
Yeah.
They yeah, like they really didn't have much competition, so they had the whole market to themselves, and then they still managed to lose it all. Like they've just been gambling on Bcash.
It's insane, eh? Like,
That's what you get.
Just burned all their money on it. It's crazy.
It's like the ego just got way too big, and Jihan decided he is now God in his own mind. And
well, you guys mentioned
that.
Yeah, the Bitcoin Cash thing. It's like, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording today. You look back on it and you're like, okay, this guy had like a three-person alliance that involved John McAfee. And like, you should have kind of known that, like, I don't know. It seems like something that was destined to kind of blow up. And we're reading, I mean, I think BitMEX reported that they lost $320 million on the Bitcoin Cash, attempted sort of takeover thing where they were trying to get it, more hashing power than Bitcoin and all that nonsense. But they took a gigantic haircut. And this is a company that's now trying to go public. And that's a hell of a lot of money to lose.
It makes you cringe. It's just
in hindsight, right?
Like some of the things they did, with the whole like dick swinging contest with Bitcoin. It's just like, come on, like, really,
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the thing is with Bitmain too is like the rise and fall has been in an extremely short period of time. I mean, we're talking like a few years maximum, but I feel like even most of it happened in the past year or year and a half, where they became like the big player in Bitcoin mining. And then you fast forward 15 months and they're looking at 80% layoffs, 50% layoffs. Again, these are, what we're reading in headlines. I don't know if the numbers exactly match that, but that's what's been reported. And the cycle of this has been incredible, and it just kind of goes to show, I think, for the future, if you're a crypto project, you have to be pretty conservative because this is still a really, really volatile space. If you're an ICO raising funds, if you're a more traditional company, even somebody like Coinbase or Kraken or Binance, you have to really be careful and take like a very conservative slant, I think, in your money management, in your deployment of capital. I think that's one of the big lessons I've taken out of seeing a lot of these big implosions.
It just seems kind of fitting that it's all centered, not necessarily centered around, but coexists with Bitcoin Cash. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Maybe we'll get the announcement that Bitmain has gone bankrupt, and then that wouldn't be good. It would not be good. But
yeah, it really wouldn't at this point. I mean, right? Because they still control quite a bit of the hashing power. It's like
it wouldn't be good.
They have to liquidate a lot of their assets as well. So
yeah.
It's like everybody likes to cheer, like, oh, fuck Bitmain, screw Jihan, but they have their hands pretty much all over the market.
This reminds me, it's like, yeah, I agree. It's like this. I was thinking about this when I was reading about this Bitmain story as well. It's like, I think we in general kind of underestimate the presence or probability of black swan type events, just like big, like unforeseen circumstances that lead to a massive disruption in the markets, in companies and businesses. And Bitmain blowing up would be something kind of like that, where it's like, it's unfathomable a year ago and all of a sudden we're here.
Yeah, because if you would have asked me
probably not, but still.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, right. And this is the thing, right? Take this all with a grain of salt because there's nothing confirmed about really any of this yet.
Yeah.
Jihan
should be very clear about that. This is a rumor.
It's just rumors, but if it is true, it's pretty crazy to me. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you guys see that There's some security researchers that broke into Ledger wallets with a simple antenna. Have you guys seen that story?
Yeah. Path, did you see that?
I haven't, no.
So
yeah, I don't know
was
much
reading
about
up
this
on it.
either. Yeah.
Yeah. So the past couple of days, they identified basically like 3 different major flaws with some hardware wallets. The first being supply chain or mismanagement. I guess it would be supply pain if you got hacked. But so basically somebody messing with it before it reaches the end consumer. So either somebody messes with it on delivery, or a third-party reseller messes with it before they resell it, something like that. The second one was, I guess they can use antennas to essentially, if they were close to somebody using the device, they could get your PIN to your Ledger wallet. And I mean, there were a few different ones, but I think the takeaway from all of it was like, these are still very, very unlikely events. And a lot of them still required you to have actual physical possession of the wallet, which is a pretty big leap, you know? So not only does somebody have to be targeting you, but they have to physically rob you. And so it is interesting though, because, you know, this goes back to the Black Swan thing where the things that are really catastrophic are things we don't think of. You know, they're not the stories that have been in, it's not like Tether. Like Tether's been in the news for 2 years. You know, that's not like a Black Swan event. It's something that nobody conceived because all of this is still so nascent and that nobody prepared for as a result. And I certainly don't want to be like a fear monger. I don't think like anything like this is really coming, but I do think it's something we kind of underrate in general.
I think it's something that markets underrate in general, just as a whole. That's just, you know, and that's kind of a, you know, a group, you know, a mass psychology thing, right? A herd in a sense. It's, you know, I think as markets, we always underestimate potential black swans, right?
Well, and it's human nature. You want to be optimistic, right? It's a natural like survival sort of thing almost. I think. Like,
well, and this kind of piggybacks on an article I remember reading that said 2018 was a record-breaking year for crypto exchange hacks. So, you know, just another reason to get that money off, even though now, you know, with the worry on this, it's kind of cold storage. Path, what do you think the best thing for someone to do to keep their coins, tokens?
We just get a hardware wallet. Paper wallets still work quite well, I hear.
But they're not as flashy and fancy.
I don't think I've ever used one. Just hardware wallets.
You say a paper wallet, Prince? You haven't used?
Yeah. Those are like the things like I've seen people giving like gifts to others, and
I guess I mean Tezos was basically a paper wallet, right?
Oh, I guess in a sense.
For a while, for the long saga before we actually got tokens.
God,
it's kind of crazy how like so many people lost their tokens and like 80% of the network was staking, and there's just no buyers, so the price collapsed.
It's insane, right? Yeah, because all like most of the supply, it's all locked up. But yeah, there's just, and when it gave out, it gave out.
Oh, big time! Yeah, I think on the flip side, though, you know, if a lot of that supply is still locked up when we enter more bullish times, that's going to lead to even more advancements in the price. So we'll see. It's kind of
like the worst possible time as well.
Oh yeah. Like they couldn't have helped us out a bit and like launched, you know, released our tokens and stuff back when everything was actually in a bull market. Like,
not to open up this can of worms, but that was what was promised during the ICO.
That was a wink, to say the least. That was
2 to
Pat,
4
I'm
months.
curious, do you trade any other markets?
No, just crypto.
You're strictly crypto?
Yeah.
Nice.
Always have been. I've never really branched out to the others. Again, like there's not really much point, right? If I'm good at one thing, then
yeah totally. And I think
you're like a pretty young guy too, right, Path?
Yeah,
like,
I'm
not, you don't have to like dox your age or anything, but
I'm 21.
That's
you're like totally.
It's like what's the point of trying to, you know, complicate things if you don't need to?
Yeah, I would imagine you try to like look at something like stocks and it's just like super boring at this point, having traded crypto for as long as you have.
Yeah, I bought Twitter. I think that's the only stock I own. Like,
a true crypto Twitter supporter in every facet, the crypto aspect, the Twitter aspect. I think that's a good thing.
That's awesome. Then they can't ban you, right?
Yeah,
I hope
exactly.
so.
I'm a shareholder. I'm a shareholder.
Community member.
Community member. Let's talk a little bit. You can wondering if you'd go into a little depth on your approach to trading. Obviously, you like I mentioned earlier, your chart's pretty clean. So if you could just go into a little more depth on, how your approach in trading and how you kind of came up with that, and don't give anything away that you don't want to.
So yeah, I did used to use some indicators like 200 MA. I think you've probably seen a lot of people using that lately because that's where Bitcoin bottomed on the weekly. A lot of longer, like higher time frame things because you have quite a decent probability of that playing out, like working in. Yeah, but a lot of people use that. And then I linked the Litecoin chart, didn't I? I think the only thing I had in there was RSI and moving average.
Yeah.
I don't really use indicators much anymore. Used to use like market structure, support and resistance levels. As I said,
What's typical duration of a trade for you?
Maybe a week or two.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of volatility in crypto, so you don't really have to complicate it with indicators. As I said, like there's a lot of opportunities. You just have to wait, like when the time's right.
I think that's the biggest thing is just being patient and just waiting for the setup to come to you, because that's the thing, right? It's like sometimes you get pissed off because it's like, oh, that was such a good trade and I missed it. I wasn't at the computer. So.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? Like this is crypto. Volatility ain't going anywhere really. You might get another great opportunity tomorrow, next week. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's still like a relatively like inefficient market, which makes for a lot of fun if you're trading it. And I think that's still going to be true for at least a few years at this point before it gets like serious liquidity in terms of big institutions and all that.
Yeah, I remember in 2014, I'd see like someone go up like 100x, be like, oh, I missed my chance to get rich, but then there'll be another one this week. So it's not. I don't think it's going anywhere really. But then same for like scams and that, because I thought. I found an old tweet of mine, I think it was like 2014. I was like, oh, I expect most of these coins to be dead soon because most of them don't do anything. But now there's like 1,000 times more. So, yeah, it doesn't.
All I can say is we're going to have a hell of a candle tomorrow so we can hit that 15,000 year-end target.
Yeah. And rip $589.
Path, one last kind of question for you. I'm just kind of curious here. Do you feel that, and this is probably a dumb question, but listeners should be used to it because I ask a ton of dumb questions, but do you feel that like maybe your experience trading or, maybe like say reading a book or finding some source of educational tool, which one has been more beneficial? And I feel like the obvious question is obviously the experience, but kind of looking back on your trading styles or your trading career, is there anything you would do differently?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
No. But yeah, definitely learn more from experience than reading books really, but it does take a lot of time. Need to be able to invest there because I started while I was still in a high school equivalent in the UK,
which is awesome.
Yeah. I did have a lot of time, and then if I failed, I could just go to uni like most people do. So it wasn't a massive risk to me. Whereas like older people, like you'd have to take time off from your job, and then you need capital as well. I didn't start with like a significant amount, really, but yeah.
I feel like that would be so badass to trade in high school.
Yeah,
like just like walking down the halls and be like, "What's up? What's up?" Just
I think
it would be
underrated
so cool.
benefit too, like not having that pressure. I think that actually results in you becoming a better trader because you're not like so deep within your own thoughts where you're like, "Oh fuck, if I don't make this trade this month, I'm not going to make rent." Like, that affects you for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember when I first started trading, I was a year out of high school. And I thought it was just the coolest shit. So I was, Snapchat to my charts to all the biddies, check out what I'm doing. Meanwhile, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? It's like,
how does that not surprise me?
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Just a year out of high school, right? And I was I'd just seen Wolf of Wall Street, I was like, okay.
No. We're gonna lose so many listeners.
Oh man! Like I just looked back on it and I was just like, "Wow, I was so dumb. Like, how could someone should have stopped me?" Like,
check out this bullish divergence, babe. Like,
what? Yeah. no joke. Like Wolf of Wall Street, like got me into stocks because it was like, wow, what is this about? Like this looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from there I got my ass kicked and, you know, tried to learn a few things, but yeah, don't really enjoy how I got started into it all. I don't like it. It's like, wow, I wish I could have been a little different.
Don't. Well, that's cool, Path. I think you know, I really would like people to follow you and, you know, really.
Do you guys hear my cat? Do you hear that?
Yeah, Prince. I was gonna say, is that your cat?
Yeah.
we can't go on without mentioning it. It's there, you know. We'd all be lying to ourselves.
He's a noisy little shit. Yeah.
What is your cat's name, Prince?
Elliot.
Elliot has chimed in on a few podcasts. We might have to like start offering him like a cut or something. I don't know.
Elliot,
Does he do any waves?
No, he's a fat cat. He's like a Garfield. He's like pushing like, I don't know, 30 pounds almost. Like it's absolutely absurd. It's not healthy.
He has strong opinions on the markets and he wants to make them heard.
He's a nuisance. Like you can hear him right now.
Yes, we can.
He's just a nuisance, right? He hears me talking, so he's like, well, what's going on? Like, where's the party at?
I think your dog needs to chase that cat outside.
We've
you guys want to give a bold prediction?
New segment on Crypto Street. Cat sounds. Just listening to cats.
Elliot's opinion.
Dude, that would be hilarious.
A bold prediction, Dale?
You want to give a bold prediction for 2019? I'm totally calling you all on the spot.
Let's do it. I'm excited for this. I think it's fitting, given that we're right on the cusp of the new year here. We could also do a resolution, like a trading resolution.
Let's do it. We'll give everyone. While I give a spiel, I'll give you guys time to think. So, obviously, first full year for us as a podcast. Appreciate everyone listening. Couldn't do this without y'all. So if you could be so kind, go to Spotify, iTunes, podcast, YouTube, wherever you listen to us. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Say even though Princess Cat drives you crazy, you still like us.
I'll post some pictures of him so you guys can see what a majestic animal he is.
Yeah, please.
All right, you guys ready? Anyone want to start?
Let's let Path take the floor. Maybe a bold prediction and a trading resolution for 2019.
What date are we doing? End of 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I was on Shitcoin Talk the other day. I think I said $9,000 for Bitcoin into next year, maybe. But then, that's assuming the halving goes well for Litecoin.
Yep.
See, and I was going to spend less time on Twitter as well for next year.
There you go. I think there's a lot of people that should probably stay true to that resolution.
I think that's good. Yeah, actually.
We have a lot of people, though, who Twitter is, they don't have portfolios. Their portfolio is their Twitter account. So.
Yes, 100%.
It's true.
We won't name names, but yes.
Prince, you want to go?
Okay, we'll see if this cat doesn't interrupt me. Yeah, I think year end we'll get over that 6K, kind of 6.5K, that where we were kind of bottoming for a long time before the ass fell out. So we'll say I'm going to go a little bit lower than Path. Path's got 9K. I'm going to go with like 7K. I think I'm just going to play it a little safe. Resolutions, definitely stay the hell off of Twitter more because, God, it is just consuming and a waste of time mostly. And probably try to trade a little bit less. Just chill out more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I would. Bold prediction. Since you guys were kind of what I was thinking with Bitcoin, I'll go. I think Ethereum is going to make a really. I mean, this is not going out on a limb by any means, but I think Ethereum is going to make a really, really strong comeback along with Monero. For long-time listeners, this is probably no surprise to you. I've liked these two coins for quite some time, but I think Ethereum still just has this thing with the general public where they're like, oh, I've heard of Bitcoin forever. Like, what's the next thing? And I still think they go to Ethereum. They're not thinking Cardano or Tezos or EOS yet. I think that's a little bit too far down the rabbit hole for a lot of these people. So I think Ethereum is going to have its day in the sun again. In terms of prediction, I think maybe over, let's take a stab, $600-$700 by the end of 19, maybe, if everything goes well. That's probably too optimistic, but I do think it's going to make a comeback. Resolution wise, I'm with you guys on staying off of Twitter. I think I was a better trader when I wasn't on Twitter because there weren't 1,000 different voices shouting at and kind of affecting my opinions all the time. So I'd like to kind of just get back into more what I really think on a trade and not let everything else affect it.
Good. So I'm gonna make 2 bold predictions. Anyone that kind of read the episodes or the issues of Whale Reports know that my bold prediction by the end of the year on one of them was Ripple would be 15 cents by the end of the year. While I got close, what was it?
You got real close.
You did.
Pulling up a chart. I think I get dipped right at 21 cents maybe. Just kind of quick looking. So I'm going to stick with that one for next year. That piece of pie is going to, yeah.
Guys,
that piece of pie
is the time to buy, Dale. I think this is time to flip on your Ripple fandom. I think this is
doubling
contrarian
down.
take at this point.
Doubling down. This is maybe more of just a half-assed bull prediction. 15 cents Ripple. You'll see it next year, boys and girls.
Oh, no. This one's not going to end as well, I don't think.
This isn't going to end as well. Probably not, but you know what? Especially when you hear my Bitcoin prediction. I think we're going to end next year over 10K. I really, I don't know. I just think leading up.
All right.
I guess I just think so. So piss on you if you're going to really hold me to this and base your trades for the next year on my prediction. You've got a big problem.
Yeah.
But just gonna tell you that Prince is longing as we speak.
Yep. Here we go.
Buy all the Ripple now.
I get a refund if I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
you got to pay me back.
And then I'm just gonna try and for my resolution. Obviously stay off Twitter. I just think it's getting pretty crazy out there. And then probably try and trade less and not be afraid to miss pumps. I just feel like that's one of my Achilles heel is just always afraid of missing a pump. So I sometimes might be overextended on how many bags I have. So maybe sim that down a little bit. But that's it, folks. That's all I got. Nothing too wild.
Cool.
So
that was
not
good.
bad.
There we go.
Let's short Ripple to the ground, folks. Thanks for listening. Path, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks,
Always a pleasure
Thank you,
chatting
man.
with you and seeing your tweets. Appreciate everything you do for us.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone for listening. Prince, Killer, Dale, we out. Hootskis for the boys. Tip your waitress. Have a good New Year's. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next year.